Call the police! I had saved $300,000 for my retirement, but for some reason, it vanished when my eldest son moved out. While my second son is arranging for the police, I contacted my eldest son. Then he yelled at me, "Stop it!" I was shocked, but I had already reported it to the police. My name is Susan. When I was young, I moved to New York City to work, and I had 2 sons. Both my sons are now 18 years old, and my husband passed away early. I've reached 60 and retired. I had saved $300,000 for my retirement, so I'm not too worried about living expenses. Still, it's time to think about my future living arrangements. During this time, my eldest son, Robert, who had always lived in our parents' house, decided to move out. Robert's wife, Mary, had expressed her dissatisfaction to my eldest son, saying that she didn't want to take care of me in the past. I had expected this conversation someday. I have no desire to be looked after by my eldest son's wife. In fact, my eldest son's wife can't even cook or do household chores, so I've been doing it for both of them all along. Have you found a place yet?
Not yet, but we plan to decide soon.
Let me know when the move is settled. Richard and the others say they will take me on a trip to celebrate my retirement soon.
Understood. I'm saving money now, and I'll leave once I have enough.
I reported my eldest son's situation to my second son over the phone. My second son said,
In that case, how about installing security cameras? Without Robert around, you might be an easy target for burglars.
That's true. I've heard on the news that seniors living alone are often targeted. Moreover, the trip I'm taking with my second son and his wife is a bit longer this time. I was certainly anxious about leaving the house empty for an extended period. I quickly purchased the security cameras that my second son had researched for me. They should arrive tomorrow. Little did I know they would come in handy later. Sometime after hearing about my eldest son and his wife moving out, my eldest son's wife approached me about moving expenses.
Mother-in-law, can we borrow little money for our moving expenses? I've actually been let go from my part-time job. Without some help, we won't have enough for the move.
Fired from a part-time job? What on earth did you do?
Mother-in-law, please, lend us the money.
Upon my eldest son's wife's desperate plea, I reluctantly agreed and gave her the money for moving and enough to live on for a while. Make sure you pay it back.
Yes.
She always responds well. But that's about it, I thought, criticizing my eldest son's wife inwardly as I considered talking to my eldest son. A few days passed. My eldest son seemed uninterested in preparing for the move, so I asked him about it. Then I came to know a shocking truth. I lent the moving expenses to Mary the other day, so shouldn't you be able to move now?
Huh? I don't know about that.
What? I was shocked and opened my eyes wide. She said she'd pay it back after moving, didn't she?
I don't know about that. How much did you lend her?
About $3,000.
What? There's no way we can pay that back. I'm a temporary worker, you know.
But Mary said she needed the loan. I couldn't hide my surprise. Just then, my eldest son's wife came home. I hurried to the entrance and confronted her about what she had done with the moving money.
I'm sorry, I spent it. But you have money, mother-in-law. So $3,000 isn't a big deal, right?
That's not the point at all. What on earth did you spend it on?
Designer bags and new clothes. The new ones were so cute. But I can't spend money until I find a part-time job. Don't worry, I'll pay you back as soon as I find a part-time work, little by little.
I was at a loss for words at my eldest son's wife's statement. I've retired, so I need that money back. You understand that, don't you?
I understand, so quit nagging. Is this what they call wife bullying? Ugh, I just want to leave this house as soon as possible.
My eldest son's wife just kept saying whatever she wanted. I regretted lending her the money and wondered why I had done so. Today, my second son Richard was scheduled to come home. Richard has a 1-year-old child, and his wife, Beth, is a hard worker, currently on maternity leave. He had promised to take me on a trip next time, so we were planning to decide on the dates. Since my eldest son hadn't returned from his temp job yet, it was just me and my eldest son's wife at home. Mary, Richard, and the others are coming today. Can you help me out?
Me? Huh? I can't cook or anything. I just got my nails done the other day.
Well, can you set the plates or do the shopping? Richard and the others are coming for lunch.
You like Richard more than Robert, don't you, mother-in-law?
That's not true. I just want to spend some quality time since it's been a while since we have seen them. When I said that, my eldest son's wife had a clearly dissatisfied look on her face. I don't intend to favor one brother over the other, but since it's been a while since we've seen each other, it's natural to give a little preferential treatment. Although, my eldest son's wife has some challenges in her personality, I have never compared her to Beth. Though that's the case, my eldest son's wife doesn't like my second son's wife and always takes a confrontational attitude. When my second son and his wife arrived at the house, my eldest son's wife stared at my second son's wife.
Wearing something plain again today? Can't you put a little effort into it, especially in front of mother-in-law?
It's frustrating how she says things to elevate me. Things she's never even thought of herself. Don't worry about it, she's just in a bad mood. I tried to provide support with those words. But my second son's wife looks down, appearing apologetic. My second son's wife is always bullied by my eldest son's wife, like this. I try my best to defend my second son's wife, but it seems my eldest son's wife doesn't like that either. When I return to the kitchen, I admonish my eldest son's wife. Mary, can't you get along with Beth a little better?
I do want to get along, but I just don't like that gloomy woman. Mother-in-law, please stop favoring her over me.
I don't intend to.
Is it because she has a grandchild?
I'm certainly happy about the grandchild, but that's not why I would favor her. My eldest son's wife glances at me and snorts dismissively. I wonder if she understands.
Why don't you let that woman help with this?
Beth has to take care of the child too.
I knew it. You favor her because she has a grandchild.
My eldest son's wife says this, starts to sulk, and begins to relax with the drink, refusing to help with anything. I wanted to say that she's not a child, but I held back and let my eldest son's wife have her way. After a while, I heard the sound of my eldest son's wife arguing with my second son and his wife. Rushing over, I found my eldest son's wife, drunk, trying to grab at my second son's wife. My second son was desperately trying to stop her.
What on earth are you doing?
I just can't stand this woman.
So what if she has a child? You think she's making fun of me?
Then my second son's wife apologized, looking guilty.
I didn't realize that my sister-in-law was so bothered. I showed pictures of Emma and... You don't have to apologize. Mary's the one acting strangely. She suddenly got angry and tried to grab Beth.
Putting their stories together, it seemed that the origin of the matter was my eldest son's wife teasing my second son and his wife. The story was that the eldest son's wife, fueled by alcohol, had become furious when the second son's wife remained silent in response to her incomprehensible complaints.
What's wrong? I'm not in the wrong. I don't like this woman or my mother-in-law. I've decided to move out, and I feel relieved.
My eldest son's wife screamed, starting to throw any dishes or glasses within her reach. I quickly moved my second son's wife and grandson away from her, while my second son desperately tried to restrain his wife. Then, my eldest son came home and was stunned to see the disastrous state of the room. My second son and his wife had come to visit after a long time, and now this. Later, my eldest son took charge of his wife and the situation temporarily calmed down. As we cleaned up the messy room, my second son's wife looked apologetic. There had been arguments since my second son and his wife came to the house, but the travel plans were safely arranged. My second son and his wife left with smiles on their faces, and just when I was feeling relieved, my eldest son called me into the living room. By the way, my eldest son's wife had become drunk and fallen asleep.
We've decided to move out earlier. We'll leave next weekend.
What? Is money going to be okay? What about the house?
Mary said she'll handle it. I want to keep the moving costs down, so I'd like you and Richard to help us.
That's fine, but Richard left earlier. We'll have to contact him.
Can you reach out to him for me? It's hard for me to ask after what happened earlier.
I understand. I agreed right away. Perhaps my eldest son's wife will feel a little more relaxed once she's away from this house. I had been thinking that maybe my eldest son's wife felt strange pressure because I was around. After the earlier dispute, I might not be able to see my eldest son and his wife. But I thought that if they could spend their time peacefully, it would be good. I called my second son and his wife, who had just returned home, and explained the situation. My second son and his wife agreed with my thoughts and gladly accepted to help with the move. And today was the day my eldest son and his wife were moving out. I watched the two of them leave and then returned to the living room. Actually, I was planning to go on a trip with my second son and his wife starting tomorrow. Thank you. I hope the two of them can finally settle down.
It's all right. I really hope they can settle down.
While my second son and his wife are taking a break with coffee and cookies, I return to my room and start preparing for the trip. If it's a trip, it will surely cost a lot of money. Thinking so, when I opened the chest with the banking card inside, I was stunned. This is terrible. As I rushed down to the living room, my second son and his wife looked at me, dumbfounded. The savings! The banking card I was saving for a retirement is gone! At my words, my second son and his wife's eyes widened in shock. A thief? When did this happen? What should we do? As I was panicking, my second son's wife hesitantly asked, "How much was in it?" $300,000. At my words, my second son and his wife were frozen. "Call the police! It must be a thief!" I yelled to my second son, and he hurriedly pulled out his mobile phone. Wait, what about my eldest son and his wife? They moved without knowing a thief had been in the house, so they might have trouble if something was missing. I called my eldest son. "Robert, a thief! A thief was in our house. We didn't notice at all. But please check carefully when you unpack to make sure nothing was stolen."
Huh? What do you mean?
My banking card is gone. There was $300,000 in it. Surprised, my eldest son paused for a moment and then nervously uttered something to confirm.
$300,000? Is that true?
Yes, I've been saving it for my retirement since Dad passed away. We're contacting the police now. As I desperately pleaded, my eldest son exclaimed,
What?
in an unusually loud voice.
Wait, hold on. No, that is...
As my eldest son panicked, my second son's wife turned the conversation to me. I know you're talking, but doesn't this house have security cameras in the rooms? That's right. There was one in that room too. Shall we check it? Hearing this, I hurriedly pulled out the computer from the chest. I'm not familiar with the detailed use of a computer, but since using a mobile phone to view the security cameras was hard to remember, my second son gave me an old computer. I handed the computer to my second son's wife. After skillfully operating the computer, my second son's wife was shocked and speechless. I watched my second son's wife's reaction, and feeling suspicious, I peered into the screen. where I saw. At that moment, the voice of my eldest son, still on the line, echoed,
"No, don't call the police! Mary might get falsely suspected!"
In shock and astonishment, I listened to my eldest son's desperate plea. 30 minutes later, my eldest son hurriedly drove back. Facing my eldest son and his wife, anger was slowly welling up inside me.
"Did you already call them? It's just a little misunderstanding. Let me explain. Please don't involve the police."
I'm sorry. I've already reported it. More importantly, can you explain what's going on? As I said this, my eldest son looked apologetically at his wife, who ignored him without showing any sign of remorse. I felt anger towards my eldest son's wife.
"I heard this was given to me. But more than that, if you call the police, Mary will get caught. I'll return this. Can't you forgive us?"
My eldest son said this, handing me a banking card. It had already been used for moving expenses and apartment fees. This was what my eldest son's wife meant by somehow taking care of it. The security camera clearly showed my eldest son's wife taking the banking card from my chest. "This is my retirement money. Why did you take it without asking?"
"I was treated horribly here. I thought I'd keep it as a compensation."
"I've never treated you badly. I never forced anything on you. And you had 3 proper meals a day, didn't you?
What exactly are you unhappy about?"
As I said this, my eldest son's wife's face turned red, and her eyes narrowed in anger.
"I've suffered more mental distress than Beth. Being called to the house on purpose, it felt like I was being told to show my grandchild, and it was painful."
My eldest son's wife made such a delusional claim. I still couldn't forgive her. Stealing someone's belongings is what a thief does. Do you understand that?
I lived in this house too, so it's also mine. Calling me a thief is just cruel."
My eldest son's wife said this and began to cry. My eldest son begged me.
"Please forgive her. I beg you, Mom."
Did they think I would forgive such a thing? I felt anger welling up even towards my irresponsible eldest son. Listening to the exchange between me and my eldest son's wife, my second son slammed the table and stood up.
"You've been saying whatever you like all this time."
The second son glared at the eldest son's wife with an angry face.
"After all Mom has done for you, how can you act like this? As far as I can see, Mom has always been good to Mary. And Robert too. You should tell her when something's wrong. She's your wife, isn't she?"
He shifted his angry gaze to the eldest son as well, who could only gulp and break into a cold sweat.
"It can be helped. I don't know. It's not about knowing. Why weren't you watching properly? Because Robert isn't responsible, she acts however she wants. Besides, this is Mom's house, not Mary's. It's unimaginable that she could just take whatever she likes."
The second son said this, pointing at the eldest son's wife. The eldest son's wife looked at the second son with a disgusted face.
"What's your problem? A mama's boy? I'm the one who's wrong? That's rude for a brother-in-law." "Of course it's wrong. You've been complaining about Beth all this time. Why does my wife have to be criticized by someone like you? You don't know how much Beth has been troubled by this." The second son's words seemed to have pressured the eldest son's wife, who looked away and hung her head. To calm the second son down, the second son's wife hastily speaks to him. The second son has cooled down a bit but still glared at the eldest son's wife.
I'm sorry, it's true that I let Mary do whatever she wanted. And I had given up, thinking that even if I said something, it wouldn't be heeded.
The eldest son said this, looking down.
Take my side!
The eldest son's wife demanded of the eldest son, but he just shook his head.
How cruel! I thought you would support me. Just stop it. The fact is, you did steal.
When the eldest son said this, the eldest son's wife knocked a nearby vase off the table and turned away with an unhappy face. Suddenly, the police rushed in, looking alarmed. They must have been startled by the loud noise inside. They restrained the unruly eldest son's wife and turned to face us. I averted my eyes from the police, glancing quickly at the security camera. The police saw that and confirmed that the eldest son's wife had stolen the banking card before taking her into custody.
Robert, say something! Help me! It's hopeless now. Why would you say that? You've been too selfish. I don't know why you did this. I can't defend you.
The eldest son said this, looking away from his wife and hanging his head.
Let's divorce.
Upon hearing those words, the eldest son's wife stopped in shock, ceasing her resistance.
Wait, Robert? Are you sure? I tried to warn her at first, but she never listened. She ignores me when things go wrong. And now this. I can't bear it anymore. I can't be her husband any longer.
The eldest son was also in turmoil. I couldn't bring myself to blame the eldest son knowing that. Perhaps it was because he was my son, even after all that had happened. The eldest son watched Mary being taken away by the police, then slumped down, disheartened. Later on, it was revealed that Mary had apparently committed marriage fraud as well. The eldest son found out and was once again shocked. Mary was told she couldn't escape a prison sentence, and so the eldest son and his wife divorced. The eldest son's wife had to pay back the money from the marriage fraud and compensate the eldest son. The eldest son offered to take on some of the payment of the marriage fraud money. He said he wanted to settle things with himself as he hadn't. I went on a trip with my second son and his wife. Spending a long time with my young grandchildren was so much fun. Now, I am living with my eldest son again. He has a debt to pay off, so he's quitting his temp job and is working hard as a full-time employee, moving forward with determination. I'm happy to see my once unreliable eldest son growing little by little.